Now in the past I've shown you all sorts of gadgets for sharpening knives. Today we're going to take things back to basics because I want to learn how to use stones better. And I'm going to show you this ACVCY knife sharpening stone kit that I picked up. Alright everybody, welcome back. So, like I said, I've shown you a ton of different ways to sharpen your knives, from all sorts of cool gadgets, from stuff that really works well, like something simple as this little Lansky sharpening system. But I wanted to kind of take it to the next level and teach myself how to use whetstones. When I've tried to use them in the past, other people's, it's turned out disastrous. But then again, I didn't have a basic understanding of knives and, making an apex on the knife and then refining it and all that. So I've come a long way in my knowledge, so now I want to try and use an actual whetstone. As you can tell, I've used this a bit, and we'll get into the deal on that. But I'll show you the kind of results you can get if you take your time. Now, I don't know if you can see that edge. That edge is shiny, razor sharp. And this was one of the first ones that I did, and I kind of screwed up when I started doing it, and then I kind of finished it up and fixed it and made it perfect. So you can get a really nice edge, and I am a complete newbie to this. I'm not good at this at all yet, but I will be eventually the more I practice. A suggestion here would to buy this stone set because of the higher grits. You're not going to do too much damage as you would with, say, a 240 grit stone that's really made to sharpen and not refine like a 1000 and a 6000. So this sharpening kit comes with a double-sided stone. Does come with a rubber pad on the bottom to keep it from running around. I found that on this rubber it kind of slides a little bit once it starts getting wet, and we'll show you how to do that in a second. Comes with a guide. This is very handy in the beginning. I would estimate this to be about a 20-degree guide. You will slide your knife in through here and run it like that. So you almost can't go wrong. Comes with a flattening stone. This stone here is for when, if you start getting wear and tear on edges or in the center, you can run this over and sharpen it up. Flatten it out, not sharpen it up. And this I would estimate to be about a 240 or 300 grit stone. So it's a lot thicker, coarser than these. So how do you use it? Well, you start off with this by getting some water, and I have a thing of water here, if I can bring it over here without spilling it all over the place. Check out that ugly 70s color. We use this for so much. Anyway, you're going to put this right in the water. You're going to let it soak for 10 minutes. You'll notice bubbles coming up. See if you can see it. That's water getting absorbed in the pores of the stone. You want that to be for 10 or 15 minutes to go on like that. Sometimes you'll see like fizzling, like over here it's kind of fizzling. You want that to go for 10 or 15 minutes. Let the water get really soaked in there. You'll notice the water level changes a bit, and you'll notice the stone is heavier. That's when you know you're pretty much on the money. Now the stone is meant to be used with water only, not oil. So this is the correct way to do it. So let me let that soak in, and I'll bring you back when it's ready to be used. Alright, it's been about 11 minutes actually. I've noticed that all of the bubbles have pretty much stopped. There's a little bit down here, but pretty much they're done. And after 11 minutes, looks like it's ready to go. So you're going to pick it up out. Let a little of the excess water drop off. Now, this edge is already sharp, so I'm going to use the 6000 grit side. Again, if you want to sharpen a knife, 1000 grit or 6000 is going to take a long time. So you really want to start with a heavier grit. But what I've done here is kind of set this up just to maintain. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit and explain to you how this is supposed to work for getting your edge correctly. We're going to use a couple of different knives and show you how that works. Alright, so the first knife we're going to talk about is the Scandi grind knife. Scandi grinds are probably the easiest to use on stones. If you look at the blade edge there, you see you already have your edge right there. So with a knife like this, you'd place it down here, simply tilt it to your edge, and there's your edge. Now of course you want to get it all the way to the end. There's your edge, and that is what you'd do. You'd go back and forth on that edge. This knife is already sharp, so I'm not going to mess with it. Next up will just be your regular kind of camp knives. This is a cheap knife that I use for batoning wood out here when I have to do it for videos. So it's just a cheapy knife. It's one I picked up at it's Frost Cutlery, one I picked up at a local pawn shop. So with this kind of a knife, there's a little trick to this. You're going to put this down, okay? Now you'll notice underneath here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you'll notice underneath here the shadow underneath where the knife edge is. You're simply going to tilt down until you don't see that shadow anymore. You're going to put a finger back here and a finger up front. Now you don't want to get this caught under the blade, but you're going to put a finger up front here, so when you're moving forward like this, I'm going really, really slow to let you see, you want to know the front of that blade is getting hit. So you feel your finger on the stone, you know the front of that blade is getting sharpened. And you will have to lift up a little bit and turn. Now you will get a hang for this after a while. Let's go over here and do it this way. Okay. There you go. And all the way down, you want to make sure you're getting the edge. So there you go on that. You can take a look. First you'll want to get it, if your knife is really dull, you'll want to bring it up to an apex, which means the tip of your knife looks like that. You know, you got an apex. Once you've done that, you can refine with the 1,000 grit on the bottom. I mean the 6,000 grit. I already have an apex on this, so that's why I'm starting with the 6,000 grit to begin with. So let's move on a little bit, and I'll show you what it looks like when I back out the camera some. Now this does have the ability to get a little messy or wet, so wherever you're doing this, make sure it's okay to get it wet. You're going to take a little bit of this water and just kind of drop it on top there. You're going to find your edge, just like we did before, and go back and forth. Now if you get comfortable, you can even do a little like this. And a little bit on this side. Get that on there. There we go. Now I'm going extra slow because I'm new and I don't want to lose my angle. But once you get this down to you know, a science, you'll understand how easy it is to do. So let me take a look at that. Yeah, it looks pretty good so far. I don't know if you can tell with the lighting in here. Let's do it this way up against my fingers. But the edge looks pretty good so far. So I haven't gone up. If you get, now some of these scratches are from batoning, but if you start getting scratches up here, you're running this edge and not the edge of the blade. You're running this part here. So I'm going to keep doing this for a little bit, and we're going to see how sharp we get this out, because it was sharp to begin with, but I want to kind of refine it and make it really sharp. Now I went back to the coarser stone up top here, and then I finished off on the white and I put it back over. One of the things you'll notice is you'll start to get this kind of slurry from the stone. That's perfectly fine. Just keep wetting it. Keep throwing water on there. Now I did forget to demonstrate something to you, and I want to show it to you. I'm going to wipe this off now because that edge is looking pretty darn sweet. Nice and shiny. The guide. Okay. Now I have this rinsed out. I'm going to rinse it out again just to make sure. But like I told you, if you go through here and you use this guide too much, it'll slip around a little bit and it will scratch up your knife. Let me show you an example. I put a really nice edge on that, but you'll notice now I've got scratches there. So if you do want to use the guide, you just put the knife in like this. Okay, right across the top, and it will hold it in place at an angle. I've already got the angle on this, so I'm not going to mess with this to show you, but you know how you can see how it works. Either way, you got your guide, you just pull across, and the guide will let you go right across there evenly. So, we've got a pretty good edge on this now. So what I'm going to do is wash it off, just rinse it off a little bit. Make sure you oil up your knives once you're done too, because you know we are using a lot of water here. I'm going to stick this right back in here with the rubber pad on it. I'm going to dry up all this, and we're going to strop it, and then test out the sharpness. I did that for about 5 minutes maybe, not very long. I'm just going to use my little homemade strop here. This is a very important part of sharpening. I used to think it wasn't. Again, as I told you, I really didn't understand knives very well when I first started prepping. So I got that edge pretty nice. I'm going to get some white paper here, some printer paper, and we're going to cut it and see. And that's why I like this kit. You know, it's light enough where it didn't mess up the knife. For the first few that I tried and really screwed up, it didn't ruin it because it wasn't such a heavy grit. It does come with the guide, so if you feel a little unsure, you can use the guide. And this is something in all the other kits I hadn't seen. As a matter of fact, I'm going to wet that because it's got some... And you can just use that over the top. You don't have to do it in water. I'm just doing it to demo here. To flatten out your stone. Anyway, let's move that out of the way. And let's try a piece of paper up here. Okay. Look at that. This knife was not all that sharp before. This, as I said, I use this to baton wood out here, you know, when I'm doing stuff for videos. And that edge is just super sharp now. So definitely impressed with it. Definitely a cool little thing. Now, if you're going to be doing pocket knives, and I want to explain this a little differently, pocket knives are a little bit harder to determine your bevel on. So let's bring this back out again. They're going to be a little bit harder because you may not be able to see. Now, on this one it's pretty simple, but some you may not be able to see where your edge is. I don't see a shadow under there, but I'm pretty close, but I know my edge is here. So again, you're going to just carefully go across. And you'll find that you'll use that guide for the first few knives you do, and then you won't use it anymore. Because you get it. You know, you understand the bevel and where the edge is. I'm just being quiet and concentrating when I push this. And you do want to put downward pressure on this, but not too much. You don't want to go, you know, really jam on it. You just want a light little pressure. You can see how that's already getting shinier. At least I hope you can see. I can't tell on the monitor. So with pocket knives it might be a little bit different, but wow, yeah, that is nice and shiny. Nice edge on it. You're going to run into a lot of weird stuff like your thumb rest there, your little flicker. This thing might be too long, you know. It may have a little cut here where you get in there and you can't reach it. So they're going to be different shapes, different sizes. You're going to run into a bunch of different little issues with pocket knives. But as you can tell with just 3 or 4 swipes there, already that edge looks better. Now I've done this edge already, so it is very sharp. But I just kind of shined it up a little bit with that. So, let me give you some information on this stone itself. I bought the kit because it was 26 bucks. It's probably the least expensive kit out there with all of the goodies. So I am looking to purchase more. I am looking to get more into this. Also, too, if anybody knows of a way to contain the water, if they have like a bin of some kind, really low edges where I can put the water here and this here and just kind of splash the water on, so I don't get water everywhere. Not really a big deal, but this kit was, like I said, 26 bucks on Amazon. And the name, I don't know, it escapes me. ACVCY is the name of the sharpening stone. But I gotta say, for 26 bucks to get the flattener, where you can put a nice flat edge on there, to get the guide, this is probably the best part of the whole thing because it allows you a little sense of security if you're brand new. You don't want to screw up your knife. And you got 2 sides of the stone here, both top and bottom. Now, you can rinse this off when you're done. You know, you can put it in here in the sink and rinse it off. And you got the rubber bottom here, which allows it not to slip around too much. I've used those little small stones that come with knives. So at this level, this is a good place to start, you know, with this stone because it's not too coarse and you can't screw up your knife that bad that it can't be fixed by somebody who knows what they're doing. You could also do axes with this. You could do machetes with this. Pretty much anything with a decent stone. So I'm really liking the kit so far. And I will put a link down below if you want to check it out. I think for a beginner, something like this is a good start. Fairly simple to use, fairly easy. You will get the hang of it. I know some people are like, I sharpened my knife and then it came out duller, and that used to be me. And YouTube is a great resource. I know this really isn't a training video, just give you some tips and show you the product. But YouTube is a great resource, and there are some people out there that do amazing work. There are a couple videos of sushi chefs doing their knives on these things where it's like sharper than a razor and shinier than a mirror. So there's lots of places to get some information on it. Anyway, this is the kit. I will put a link down below where you can pick it up. It's fairly simple to use. Once you get the hang of it, once you learn what you're doing, go slow when you start. You don't want to get aggressive and just start jamming the knife in there. You want to start slow and get it as smooth as possible. Anyway, folks, that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I will put a link down below to where you can pick this up. Don't forget to check out our Amazon store as well. Even if there's nothing in the store you like, just click the link and shop as you normally would. It really helps out the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. And don't forget to check our Thrive Life link and our Olight link down below. In case any of those items interest you and you want to get started in freeze-dried food, that's where the Thrive stuff comes in. Anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.